Right, I'm going to lose my gum. Do some vocal exercises.
There's my vocal exercises.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You got it, dude. I was on a call today.
Yeah. Well, I've got corona.
Nice. I was on a call today, and
Rub it in.
I was on a call today, and I did that thing. This, I'll redo it for the thing. So I joined the call, and then I was like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" And the look on this one guy's face when the mic came in, he was like,
Oh my God, there's a podcaster.
he was like, "What do you use that for?" Wait right here. I'll be back in the morning. I know that I'm not that important to you, but to me, girl, you're so much more than gorgeous, so much more than perfect. Right now, I know that I'm not really. Yep.
Cool. Can that be the pre-intro?
Yeah. Do some freestyling if you want.
Go hit the beat.
I was getting his notepad out to drop some bars.
Bars. I need to find.
Oh, that's not freestyling if you're finding lyrics. I feel like beatboxing is one of those skills that I always forget I can't do until it comes time to try and do it. Yeah, that was perfect. I could do this.
I can do Daffy Duck.
Go on. That's not Daffy Duck. We have this conversation every time. It's Donald.
Oh.
Every time.
I'm Donald Ducking right now, by the way.
Yeah?
No trousers. Yeah.
Prove it.
I do have trousers.
So how you been?
Yeah. Yeah, good. I made a top tier dinner just then. It was really good.
Gnocchi?
Yeah, it was gnocchi with sprouts and bacon, sort of shallow fried in a honey and
Bacon.
honey, butter and chili. Satin, lovely, bit of oil.
Bacon?
Nice.
Yeah, it was I don't know, can't remember what brand. It was really freaking good though. It's good bacon.
Vegetarian bacon or real bacon?
Bacon. Oh, yo, I was gonna say, while we're here, we should record the spoiler disclaimer that you can cut up and put at the start of all the podcasts.
Yeah, will.
Did you write the copy?
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Egg on my face. Egg on my face. Yeah. Okay. Shall I do it off the lid?
Yeah, and then I'll just copy you, and then James just copy you, and then I've got 3 options I can choose from.
Mm-hmm. I've got a few ideas in my head.
I have none, so I'm just gonna wing it.
Okay. Do you want me to wing it?
No, I want to go. I want to go bareback. I want to go raw.
Okay.
Just give me 3 seconds to count.
James, if you're ready, you go. Oh.
Yeah. I want to go fucking off the lid. I'm not even thinking about it now. I'm going off. 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, pod beans? We're here today to talk. No. Scrappy. Pod beans. I don't know. I didn't think about that. I like pod beans. Okay. Hey, what's up, pod beans? We're here today to talk about another film. And spoiler.
How about just
what?
Warning? The following episode may contain spoilers.
Yeah, it's probably better.
What?
That's it.
James was gonna
that
say.
soundbite is it though.
Yeah.
Go on, James. James, you say something. We'll splice it all together. That'd be funny.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Hey guys, before we get into today's episode, I'd just like to warn you that there are some profanities and we will be talking about spoilers from the films that you may want to watch. So just heads up, guys, if you don't like profanities and you don't like spoilers, turn this pod off now.
What's your profanity?
I'll clip that in at the end. I feel like it's kind of obvious we'd be talking about spoilers, though.
I think. Well, no. I mean, yeah, but as a courtesy, we'll do a super edit of that.
Yeah, I will do.
Hey guys, just a quick heads up that the podcast you're about to listen to might have some spoilers, and also James swears a lot.
Hey guys, what's up? In our shows, we like to talk about our feelings about film, and because of that, there may be some spoilers. So if you're not about that life, Click off now.
What's up, guys? We have fun. We have fun over here.
We have 30 minutes of preamble before we do the intro.
Guys, look here. We're here to talk about films and a little bit of life in between. But we have fun doing it. And yeah.
Hey
So
guys, we like film and we know you do too. So because of that, please respect our opinions and we'll be sure to respect yours in the comment section. Now don't forget, smash like, subscribe, and let's get into the next episode.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. These are all great. These are all gold.
Yeah.
This is all 10 out of 10.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, Aaron.
What?
I had the.
Excuse me, threw the Emperor off his groove.
I'm a one take man. I'm done now. You've lost the
That's it.
podcast.
We know. Let's go. James, check.
Is that an authenticator?
Yeah, baby.
You don't have them on your phone? Ugh, cringe.
No, I've got like all I've got on my phone is girls' numbers and stuff. So it's not true. It's the opposite of the truth. I only have my friends and family. Why am I talking, James?
Hello and welcome back to the Rifine. Fucked it.
I know where you're gonna go though. That's funny.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ray Fine podcast.
Yeah, lovely. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Rafe Fiennes fan podcast. It's me, James, and I'm joined by my two beautiful co-hosts, William.
Hello.
And Aaron.
Hi. Hello. Whoa, my voice just got completely lost there.
Hello.
And then it slipped off into the ether. It's never to be seen again. Oh wait, it's back. Because I'm using it. So
yeah, baby. Yeah. Anyway, how are you boys?
I'm good. I'm excited to film yet another episode of the Ray Fiennes fan podcast.
Yeah.
What can I say?
Me too, of course. And it's one of those names. His name is one of those names where it's one of those debates about how do you say it. I mean, there is a correct way. There is like an objectively correct way to say it, but
we all know it's
one
Rafe.
way on paper. It's Rafe, but on paper you go, I like this guy, Ralph Fiennes. What a fine actor. A fine actor, that Ralph Fiennes.
Now, something that I really admire about Ralph Fiennes is that it's so tricky to find someone these days that has two names that you just can't pronounce, that don't sound like they look.
See, the thing is that I definitely, in the podcast last week, I definitely stumbled. Because it's like, oh, I know his name. And then when it came to saying his name, it's like, fuck, what's his name? Like, how do I say his name?
When you picture in the head, it's Ralph. You see Wreck-It Ralph in your head and you're like, oh, it's Wreck-It Ralph Fiennes.
That's it.
But no, of course, this isn't the Ralph Fiennes. Yeah, see?
That's it, it is.
Okay, there we go.
Can we just call him Ralphie? Just call
Ralph,
him Ralph.
Ralphie. Yeah,
just call him Ralphie.
I would love to call him something that's incredibly wrong to piss off people who are listening. So like Ralph.
Oh, that'd be so funny. Yeah.
Like as a recurring gag.
Oh, that's so good. Ralph. Let's call him Ralph Fine.
Ralph Fine.
Ralph Fine, yeah. Oh,
Ralph Fine.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Fucking hell, that's funny. That's so
anyway,
funny. It's so dumb.
Ralph. So this isn't the Ralph Fiennes podcast. We are actually sort of continuing from last week in the fact that we do have another film with Ralph Fiennes in, and this will be talking about The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a Wes Anderson film from 2014 in which he wrote, produced and directed. It is his 8th film and has been widely regarded as his greatest. And this has sort of come through in the nominations, the critical acclaim. It has 9 Oscar nominations with 4 wins, including Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup, and Best Original Score. So The Grand Budapest Hotel for Wes Anderson included his first nomination for Best Director. So The Grand Budapest Hotel tells the story of the legendary concierge at a famous European hotel between the wars and his friendship with a young employee who becomes his trusted protege. The story involves the theft and recovery of a priceless Renaissance painting, the battle for an enormous family fortune, and the slow and then sudden upheavals that transformed Europe during the first half of the 20th century. I'm going to go straight off the bat here, boys. What did you think of the film?
It's beautiful. I think it goes without saying that this is a very visually appealing film, very stunning. Every time I watch a Wes Anderson film, I forget just how much he bloody loves the camera. But it's always a nice awakening when I remember. Now, I haven't seen many of Wes Anderson's films. I probably should. I've only really seen Grand Budapest Hotel once before, and then Isle of Dogs once, and Fantastic Mr. Fox once. But of those three, this one is just head and shoulders above the other two, in my opinion. And at first, I thought maybe that was just because the other two are animated. But I just love everything about this film. The characters, the way they speak, the way everything looks. It's all just so pretty. It's aesthetic, as 2014 Tumblr user me would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you picked up on the characters there. For me, the most outstanding thing about this film is the fucking stacked actor list. It is ridiculous. I know the majority of Wes Anderson's films do have a stacked cast list, but you've got Ruffines, Adrian Brody, Willem Dafoe, Jeff Goldblum, Harvey Keitel, Jude Law, Bill Murray. And then even looking at sort of the little cameos, you've got Lucas Hedges, most commonly known from Manchester by the Sea and Lady Bird. You've got Leah Seydoux from Spectre, and obviously the I think probably the greatest actor of our time, Owen Wilson.
Who's that?
I think he did the DFS Sofa adverts.
Oh, Lightning McQueen. Oh, I get what you're
Yeah.
getting confused. Do you think you're thinking of Lightning McQueen, who plays Owen Wilson in Wedding Crashers?
Of course,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. Good.
How?
And he plays Marley in Marley and Me.
He does, yes. I'm
Yeah.
always amazed by these things, and I think we've touched upon it before about the uncanny, and that film really it is the uncanny. There is a human being playing a dog that's called Marley. It's sensational.
And I don't know how. I don't know how they managed to get Owen Wilson. Sorry,
Yeah.
God, I'm getting mixed up.
Oh, it's uncanny.
It's so
it's
uncanny.
sensational.
James, you hear about the fourth wall. How about the fifth wall, right? That's what Lightning McQueen transcends. So I don't understand, and this is the magic of cinema. This is the magic of cinema. in Marley and Me, how on earth did they get Lightning McQueen playing Marley the dog on screen at the same time as Lightning McQueen playing Marley the human?
It's beyond me, truly beyond me.
Because I mean, really, what the film should be called is Marley and Me, because you have Lightning McQueen as Marley the dog, Lightning McQueen as Marley the human, and then me. I'm watching.
Yeah.
So
who's directing all this?
I tell you what, James, a bloody wizard. You know,
A bloody wizard.
Someone that can.
I don't know why that was so funny. That was so stupid. You just kept going. You knew you were wrong, and you just kept going.
That's dumb. That's a silly bit. Silly bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, James. Let's talk about film.
I don't know if any of that's getting past the idiot, but
No, that's all going. That's all going.
Is that great?
I've literally got tears in my eyes. Did you know in the Muppets Christmas Carol there's a song called Marley and Me?
Oh,
because the two grumpy old men play Jacob Marley, and they make it to their brothers, so it's Marley and Scrooge.
And that film fucks as well, by the way. That film is epic. I love that film. That's probably the best film with Muppets in it.
I think so. Going back to this epically stacked cast list, the thing that was really making me sort of think really deep thoughts during this film is how, with a $25 million budget, you can get this caliber of acting into a film that is only 1 hour 40. It's not a long film. It's not like, you look at the Avengers films that are hours upon hours upon hours long with $300+ million budgets. And yeah, they've got a big cast list, but compared to this, in proportion, is ridiculous. And I was doing a bit of research on it and finding out how he approached the actors and how sort of lenient they were to working with him and how they felt about working with him. And it transpired that Norton and Murray, they both signed immediately after reading the script. I think that's a true testament to the work that Anderson does and his writing ability and his vision within the writing as well. And so Rafinez was initially unsure of how to approach playing Gustav, and he knew of Anderson's sort of oversight when directing. He knew he was a very full-on director and that he would be there right on his shoulder, making sure that everything was perfect, everything was meticulous. So he was a bit unsure of that. And even with the young Zero, the character, Revelori, this was his first film. So they struggled for a long time to find someone to play young Zero. And he finally came across Revelori and his elder brother, who they both auditioned and ultimately gave the younger brother the role.
He was great as well, right? Like he was
Fantastic.
sick, like so good
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
whole film. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just saying about the cast as well. Sorry to just butt in, but it's like this is his 8th film, right? This is Wes Anderson's 8th film. So he's had like connections, like Bill Murray. Like, of course, you presume he would have signed on straight away. Like he wouldn't have had any reservations because he's worked with him before in like
17 films they've done together.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it kind of been hard and Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is the one which he is one of the ones that he stars in, I think. Stars alongside Lightning.
He does. Ka-chow!
Stop.
No.
I will die.
He'll be back again. But yeah, it was, I think, looking further down the cast list, even characters who are sort of early in their career. You say we look at Murray, who would have been an immediate sign up from working with Anderson for extended periods of time before this. But then you look at Saoirse Ronan, who was 20 years old when recording this, and I think this was fairly early on in her career. I don't recall her having a larger film prior.
She was a child actress.
She was The Lovely Bones before this. Yeah, she's been in quite a lot before this, I think. Like The Lovely Bones would have come out in like 2008, maybe?
2009, actually.
Is it 2009?
Yeah.
My bad. But she was incredible in that, obviously. That was
see, this is the interesting thing. She was incredible, and
do you know
she
what?
Sorry,
I just looked up her IMDb. She was also in Muppets Most Wanted.
No.
Oh,
yes.
Full circle, baby. Full circle.
Yeah,
full bloody circle. I just want to fact check for you, James, real quick, just to make sure.
Yeah.
What are you fact checking?
Well, just to see what she was in before. She was in quite
she was
a
in
bit
a few
before
things,
this film.
not
Hannah.
huge.
Okay.
Lovely Bones.
Scrap me saying that she wasn't in
No,
much.
because they're not like big movies, and also her name is Saoirse.
Saoirse
Ronan.
Atonement was quite a big film. Lovely Bones was quite a big film.
So Saoirse Ronan, she was 20 at the time of recording this, and she was worried before going into the film that the sort of the deadpan humor and nature of Anderson's films, she wouldn't be able to deliver. As an actor, she didn't think she'd deliver that. And she went on to quote about Anderson saying, he guards everyone extremely well. He is very secure in his vision and he is very comfortable with everything he does. He knows it's going to work. And so I think this really brings me on to the first sort of major discussion point that I wanted to cover with you guys, and the trust in the director. As I said, the budget $25 million. You have 15 Oscar-nominated actors, 4 of which have been winners. And although it's not the highest award-nominated cast, for the budget in proportion, it is ridiculous. It is stacked. So I really want to pose the question of, can you tell whether a film is going to be a flop from the budget and the cast? Looking at it, let's say if it's 100 million and you only recognize, Dwayne Johnson or something, whereas it's 25 million and you've got 15 Oscar-nominated actors.
I think Will's probably the better person to answer. I know he's going to have some better examples than me, but you look at films like Suicide Squad, which had a stacked cast, but is not well regarded, particularly by, it's like a comic book film, and comic book fans as a whole were really like invested in the product. and it is not held in high regard by these fans, despite the fact that that cast is on paper a really, really talented cast, a really huge draw, like a huge box office draw as well. I would imagine Suicide Squad still made money, didn't it? Surely.
It won an Oscar.
Why not? Oh, shit.
Yeah, for best hair and makeup.
Right. That's like a pity Oscar for that. There's like, look at this film where they put so much money into it. They got all these big names. Like, we have to give it something. That's why Cat still got nominated for Oscars, didn't it? Right.
I'm just looking at the Suicide Squad facts, and it grossed 750 million off a budget of 175.
Right.
So,
okay, so yeah,
did okay.
It did, yeah, it did fine. But let's what I like I say, a newer example then is Cats. Like, Cats fucking tanked, but the cast is incredible, and I think the budget was probably pretty decent as well, right?
So I find it super interesting because Suicide Squad is a great example where they had a great, in quotes, great studio behind it, great cast, great director, but it just, something didn't click. Like the chemistry just wasn't there. A lot of people are saying that's down to the studio interference. Some people could say it's down to the writing. Some could say it's down to the cinema machine having to churn out big blockbusters all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting that a film like that, where everything should work but just didn't, it came out in 2016. They're already remaking it. There's going to be a remake, a soft reboot next year, with pretty much the exact same cast, except swap out Will Smith for people like John Cena.
Which I'm all in, baby. I think I think what you said there, for me, the difference between that and Wes Anderson film Grand Budapest, particularly, is the cinema machine and that whole model of churning out blockbusters. Because this is not that. This isn't a superhero film. This isn't one of those big Hollywood theme park films, as Scorsese would probably label it.
Correct.
This is a film. Like, this is cinema, right? This is done by a filmmaker, not to like discredit anything else, but this is for the art of film, and this is for film goers, film lovers. But it also has that massive appeal. It's a really like accessible film, as well as being a finely made film for someone that obviously appreciates the craft of cinema. I think in that sense, we can draw another parallel between Martin McDonagh's work, which we looked at last week with In Bruges, because it's a film made by a cinema lover, but anyway, like, loads of people can watch it. It's a widely accessible film, and loads of people love it. I think Wes Anderson finds that sweet spot. I think he might be the best at it. He might be the best at finding the sweet spot between something that is widely appealing for a huge audience, but is also like, he's finally tuning that craft. Cinema,
and filmmakers like that, they pop up all the time, and one that comes to mind immediately is Taika Waititi, especially with Jojo Rabbit last year. That was such a hugely successful film, very broad scope, but usually I would put Wes Anderson and Taika Waititi on the same level. Personally, I'd put them on the same tier of, like, on my tier list.
I think I think you can see the parallels. I think if we're putting them head to head, I think Anderson's done more. I think Anderson's more proven, perhaps better. But if we're talking about the cinema machine, that model that you mentioned earlier, Waititi did Thor Ragnarok. Is he not part of that? Is he not part of that model, part of that industry, part of that scene?
That's a good point.
Is he going on to do Star Wars?
Yeah, I think he is getting involved with Star Wars, isn't he?
He's actually directed a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian.
Right.
But I from my point of view, you can exist in the cinema machine and at the same time not, because from my point of view, obviously those blockbusters, some people really care about them, but for some people they are just like a paycheck, where if they know, okay, if I churn out one Marvel movie, I'll then have the funding to make 2 of my own projects. Because that's just how it goes.
I'd like to just clear up. I'm a huge fan of Taika Waititi, by the way. I think he's brilliant. What We Do in the Shadows is one of my favorites. That film is hilarious, and I wish him all the success. And I think if he has all the chances and the opportunities which he's earned to go and be a part of Marvel and Star Wars, then I totally welcome that, because he's not just a run-of-the-mill director that's going to be like a yes man and do what the studio tells him to do. And that he's got flavor, he's got vision.
And I remember when he came into the Marvel and Disney scope, people were praising it because they thought that this was going to be the turning point from
Mm.
the machine, or not the turning point, but it would help if they got indie, again in massive air quotes, filmmakers, as in just not Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
to
exactly
push
what you're
against
saying.
the studio and to push
Yeah.
against all these studio interferences that people complain about.
It's tough. It's tough because looking at Thor Ragnarok, and I am not a huge fan of Marvel films. I'm not like, I don't dislike them. I'm just not really fussed by them. Looking at Thor Ragnarok and how it stacks up against the others, I say the big difference is humor. Like, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that is a hallmark of Waititi's work. Is that it's all very light-hearted, and it certainly doesn't get bogged down in serious subject matter. But it's still overall, of course it did. It still overall felt like a Marvel film. All the bells and whistles, all the loud explosions, and like the crash bang wallop of what is the modern blockbuster now. And I think, as unique a filmmaker as you are, you will always get lost in that. You'll always get lost, and you'll get drowned out by the nature of just how loud a film like that needs to be. So you can notice the humor, you can notice how it takes itself less seriously, but I think ultimately it's still just a Marvel film. But we're not here to talk about Marvel films.
I was just going to say on a closing point before we go back to Budapest Hotel.
Wes.
We're on first name basis, me and him.
Wesley.
It really does show when a filmmaker comes out. For instance, Robert Eggers, who puts in a lot of time and a lot of care into his films, and it pays off and it shows. When he comes forward and says, "I'm making a new film, it's going to be out in 3 years," it gets a lot of the right kind of buzz and attention from his audience. And then on the flip side of that, in this cinema machine, you have the Disney stockholders meeting last week. That kind of just gave away when we released this in 3 months that this was in December. But you have the stockholders meeting for Disney, and they announce the next 20 films that are going to come out over the next 5 years. And I think it goes a long way at pushing things under the carpet or putting the spotlight on certain things more than others.
Well, and the fact that the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is literally set out in phases as well. Like, and we know the next phase. We know what it's going to look like. And it's like every month, man, every month there's a new film, there's a new Netflix show. Whereas, like you said, Robert Eggers, I think, is a great example of whenever it's announced that a new film of his is coming out, I'm hyped. I can't wait. I cannot wait to see it, because it's like he's gonna have dedicated it. I'm not saying that the people involved with like the Marvel projects aren't like 100% all in, but like, this is passion, blood, sweat, and tears from this man that's making the films, and it just shows more, because I think just by virtue of the type of film that he's making, I think there's not much soul in the big blockbusters and superhero films. That sort of thing. But they serve a purpose in that. We could do a whole series about the pros and cons of Marvel and the cinema machine and that, but
Let's.
oh
One
man,
day.
we'd just be chasing our tails the whole time. But no, it's a good discussion. But anyway, I feel like we've definitely gone off on a tangent there. Let's go back to our boy Wesley.
Yeah, and I think those points bring it round really nicely, actually, because when looking at this film and looking at the sort of deep elements of it, and as I said, the characters and the actors and how they actually felt going into the film, filming it, and then obviously post-production, you have F. Murray Abraham, who played the Elder Zero, did an absolutely fantastic job. I think probably one of my favorite characters I could say all of them were my favorite characters. They were absolutely brilliant. But he quoted during filming saying that the best directors are the ones who make a family. And I think, as you said, as we discussed on the last episode in Bruges, saying how the family of actors in that one were all in the Harry Potter franchise. They also went through McDonough's own catalogue, looking at 7 billboards in Bruges, 3 psychopaths, 7 psychopaths, 3 billboards. Who knows what it is? I don't. I'm chatting shit, but we'll move. So
keep that in.
This is the thing, and I know I mentioned earlier with the 17th time that Murray and Anderson worked together. So you got fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, Rushmore, Moonrise Kingdom. and turning your sort of focus to the future. So Anderson's next film to be released is The French Dispatch, and I believe that is planned for release in 2021.
Correct.
And this has an even more of a stacked cast. I know we're talking about it in this and the amount of Oscar-nominated actors, but it gets even bigger. It grows even more. And I know that, Will, you're a big fan of the teasers and trailers. I know we've got Timothy Chalamet.
Who?
I don't know any other actor.
Who?
Timothy Chamois.
Chamois.
Timothy Chalamet, right? Chalamet.
Timothée Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, he nailed it. Yeah, there.
Timothée
Timothy
Chalamet.
That's very last night.
Just for the record, I don't actually watch trailers. I just get excited about things.
Oh, he doesn't watch trailers.
Again, this is another bloody discussion we could have. I actively stay away from trailers because
Me too.
I've started doing that since I met you. I've stopped doing it because the thing is, when I was first introduced to film, I think I became really interested in film mid-teens, I'd say, sort of 15, 16, and would watch all the trailers then. The trailers would be a minute to a minute and a half consistently, and it would have a nice little teaser, sort of get your palate wet for the film to come. Now you're looking at 2.5, 3 minutes, and pure storyline. I'm trying to think of the recent film I watched where the whole film was in the trailer, and it was Southpaw, punchy guy, Jake Gyllenhaal.
That is
whole
like
film was in the trailer. It was ridiculous.
That's a notorious example for that discussion, I think, is Southpaw, because it's literally plays out in order. And even if not directly, so many trailers do that. Like so many trailers, and like you said, 3 minutes is like a long time. But it's not just one trailer; it's the teaser, then the theatrical trailer,
trailer
then
2,
exactly, like unrated version and shit like that. Like it's you. If you watch all the trailers and all the teasers, you'll end up seeing 5 minutes plus of the film, which might not sound like much at face value, but I remember one of our film tutors, professors that we had in second year, he said that everything he tells his students is that if you watch any bit of a film, you have to be there for the first 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is all you need to tell you everything about a film in terms of aesthetic, the vibe, and everything, how a film feels and is going to be delivered to you. You'll find that in 5 minutes. Obviously, there'll be some outliers in that, but as a rule of thumb. So if you watch a trailer, or if you watch a series of trailers and you've got a bank of roughly around 5 minutes of that film's material, you already know a lot about that film.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'd prefer to go in tabula rasa, baby, clean slate. I want to know. I want it to like hit me as was intended. I don't need to know sneak peeks,
I'm the same. And don't get me wrong, I like following film news, and I like knowing what directors that I like are working on and what actors that I like are working on and when things are going to release. But I won't look up plot details. I won't look up trailers. And I've never really enjoyed watching trailers, but I think what really put me off them was working in the cinema when you'd go in, and we would go to the cinema average 2 times a week, I think. Or a couple of times
maybe even more. Like we'd go like sometimes 3-4 times a week. Like we used to go a lot. Like
it would just mean that we saw every trailer more than once, and then when it came around to watching the film, I would just be like, I'm so disinterested in this because I've already seen a lot. But another tangent.
And then plenty of tangents today. Sorry, James.
No. I just sort of want to finish that segment of character arc on a little bit of trivia and a bit of a quiz for you guys. Actually, it's just the one question, and I'm sure you will get it. But it's a fun bit of trivia.
A quiz, one question.
one question quiz. Let's do it.
It takes all. Yeah, maybe. So
can that be a segment? The one question quiz.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's do that.
One question quiz. I got like this. So one of the actors in the Grand Budapest Hotel was in 2 films that were nominated for Academy Awards in 2015, one being The Grand Budapest Hotel. Can you name the other film and the actor?
I was going to say, can I know the actor?
So the actor and the film.
Well, let's try and work it out.
So this was the nomination for Best Picture, by the way.
Let's try and work it out, Aaron. Do you remember any 2015 Best Pictures?
Can we talk to that again? Because that was a bit...
I think I got it.
I understand, but if you want to ask it again for more clarity, then go ahead.
So there was one actor in the Grand Budapest Hotel that was part, obviously, the cast that was nominated for Best Picture. Along with some other films, of course, there was another film that this actor, appeared in that was also nominated for Best Picture. Can you name that film and actor?
See, I'm really trying to think. I'm trying to rack my brain back to 2015 and other potential Best Picture films.
Let's try and work it out together.
I'm coming up quite dry.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Would it not be easier to go through the cast list and then see who was active around that time in films?
well, I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head. I remember Birdman and Whiplash was the same year as the Grand Budapest Hotel. And I'm trying to think if anyone was
Birdman
in
and
Birdman or
Whiplash.
Whiplash.
I don't think Whiplash had a particularly expansive cast outside of the main characters, but I think Birdman had a fair few. Birdman had quite a wide cast. I'm just trying to remember because Michael Keaton fucking stole the show so much. I can't really remember anyone else in that film. Like, he was just so sick. Shit. This is really like testing my note.
Now I'm really struggling. You know, I watched Budapest Hotel the other day. I'm struggling to think who's in it.
I think
I mean, I can go through the
I
cast.
can reel off. Was it Willem Dafoe? Was he in something in 2015?
He may have been, but it wasn't Oscar nominated for Best Picture.
Okay, it wasn't Willem Dafoe. What a boy, by the way.
Yeah.
How did he not get an Oscar nom for The Lighthouse? Anyway, another tangent.
We don't want to talk about Oscar nominations and winners because
Wait, we have to do The Lighthouse though.
We'll do an episode of Oscar winners and robbers and stuff.
Yeah.
Because Ralph Fiennes was robbed for Best Lead Actor in the 2015 Academy Awards.
Who's that?
Oh, sorry, Ralph Fiennes.
Wait, is that a hint that is he the actor who was in a different film?
No,
it wasn't him. Have you
in the final cut? We're gonna like speed this up like 10 times, so we will sound like little mice
so it
talking.
sounds super smart.
I don't know.
Can you get if you get?
You were along the right lines in your initial thoughts
With Birdman,
Aaron. Yes,
Birdman, right?
Yeah. Okay, Birdman is the film.
Birdman's the film.
Yeah. So who appeared in Birdman and the Grand Budapest Hotel, both of which were nominated for the Best Picture at the 2015 Academy Awards?
I am desperately scraping my mind for the cast of Birdman.
It's got Edward Norton.
Well, there you go. It's Ed Norton then.
Is he in Birdman?
Because he's in he's the Henkel's guy, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah. He's
Congrats.
Oh, Ed Norton, of course.
So he obviously played Henkel's in the Grand Budapest Hotel, and then played probably the most unlikable character in Birdman. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I don't want to start a tangent. If we can do that film in the future, I fucking love it. That might be my next film, so I can rewatch it.
Birdman's a banger. I definitely get like Birdman vibes from Grand Budapest. I think they're quite similar films in a few aspects, so that would be interesting to draw on. I love that film.
Yeah.
He's the only man to be fired from Marvel.
Really?
What, Michael Keaton?
Mm-hmm. No, Ed Norton.
Yeah, it's Batman.
Oh, Ed Norton.
Yeah.
What? Because of how bad the Hulk film was.
Yeah, because he was apparently such a
fucking
diva.
terrible.
He was like, this script isn't going to work, and then he rewrote it. Apparently, his character in Birdman is like based on how he was on the set of the Hulk.
That's sick,
No
man.
way.
Because he was like, I rewrote it because it's better.
That's great. I love Ed Norton. I fucking love Ed Norton. Red Dragon. Him in Red Dragon gets shot like
brilliant.
7 times, and he's just still
Still
there at the end. Like, rah. That film's sick. Oh, right, we got to stop that on tangents.
Okay. So I want to pull this back to the very beginning of this podcast, and when I asked you guys what were your initial thoughts of the film, and Will, you picked up on its sort of perfection and its beauty and how it looked, and I covered it in the character section of how meticulous Wes Anderson was, and there are so many things about the film, that little details that you won't pick up on your first or your second, maybe your third, fourth, fifth viewing of this film, and you'll start to see little details that are just ridiculous. And even every single article that you see on newspapers, newspapers feature a lot in the film. Every single article was timestamped correctly and was written and designed by Wes Anderson himself. He had to have these all done. Even the shoe pastries from Mendel's were real. They got an actual patisserie chef in to create all of these pastries, the shoe buns. They actually have a name. I can't quite remember, but it has like matcha icing with vanilla creme pat in the middle or something along those lines.
Yum.
Tasty.
So I wanted to sort of pose this question to you, talking about the extravagant artwork and the amazing sort of animation in the skiing chase scene, the stop motion. Does this take away from the plot? Is there an element of style over substance? Just sort of referring back to a few sort of interviews I've seen, Mark Commode talking about Wes Anderson said that Fantastic Mr. Fox was, although a brilliant film, it was too intriguing to look at and too sort of complex for a child audience, but it felt like a children's animation, so it didn't sit either here nor there. And I was wondering if you thought that that potentially applied to the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That confuses me.
I can definitely see that argument.
No, I disagree.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Because I was gonna say this is, I'll happily at Mark Commode for this one.
Good luck.
How are you gonna determine what is or isn't feels like what? I don't know. I just find that so strange. Wes Anderson has never been a children's filmmaker, but you could argue that all of his films have kind of like a whimsical fairy tale like substance.
Yeah, of course.
A beautiful hotel built in the mountains, or I haven't seen any of his other films, like I said, but I know that one of them's like a camping place for scouts, right? Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah, Moonrise Kingdom.
A scout place, a school. They're all kind of child-like themes, I guess.
Yeah.
But none of them are specifically made for children. So I just find that a very weird critique to make, that it's confusing. I don't think it is confusing. I think it's nostalgic, like fake nostalgic.
I think there's a difference between a film like Grand Budapest Hotel, which if you take it into context, albeit a fictional context of the war and the themes of robbery and going to jail and breaking out of jail, if you contrast that with Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is a kid's story, like that there's the difference. I think is the subject matter that the film is based on and what it tackles. I think that's probably the grounds first and foremost for Commode's argument there, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. What I would say off the back of your point, Will, is that absolutely what is so striking about Anderson's film and Grand Budapest specifically is the magic of it, and the setting is, it feels so ethereal and fairy tale like. And I think there's a few ways that he does this. James, you mentioned the skiing sequence, the ski slope where Willem Dafoe is escaping and they chase after him. For me, the animation of that and the way that it feels, the way that it moves is similar to like the trick films of like the late 1800s, the early 1900s, like Georges Méliès and stuff like that. The way that it feels is like proper harks back to that. And obviously those films were trick films, like they were magic. That was the whole point of them. They were like making moving image do something that you couldn't conceive as possible in our tangible world. And that is absolutely how it feels when they're going down that ski slope. Now, what's interesting is that they're humans, they're grounded in our tangible world. So we can see it happening, but also these little hints and these codes and the way that the film feels let us know that this is something that isn't quite in our world, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I wanted to sort of throw a little fact in there for you. So that ski scene, the getaway scene, one shot took an hour to digitally render. That's how much sort of effort and detail went into this. And Anne Atkins, who was the lead designer for this film, who pretty much put Wes Anderson's vision into life, she quoted saying, "The beautiful thing about period filmmaking is that you're creating graphic design for a time before graphic designers existed per se. It was really the craftsmen who were the designers. So the blacksmiths designed the lettering in the cast iron gates, the glazier sculptured the lettering in the stained glass, the sign painter drew the lettering for the shop fronts, the printer chose the type of blocks for the stationery, and every single detail, a fine tooth comb through this film." And that's what Anderson's notorious for. And this is where I've posed my question: is it too much for the mass audience? I know he's famed for his art style, but I understand that you guys have picked up on this detail,
Mm.
but is there a chance that this is lost, perhaps on your first viewing?
It's interesting. I think I would maybe take it the other way. I would say on first viewing, you can get washed up in the style of it, and what you have is a plot which is actually really nicely layered, really interesting, and it's like a heist film, and then it's like a jail escapee film, like an Escape from Alcatraz sort of thing. Like there's a lot of different themes going on, and the plot weaves in and out of them really nicely. But that's not the face value of the film. The face value of the film is that Wes Anderson art style. And if we're talking about style over substance, for me, the name that springs to mind is Tim Burton. Like
Yeah, okay.
Tim Burton for
Yeah.
me is mostly all style, very little substance, save for his
Mhm.
Batman films, which are fucking sick.
I'll never get bored of the Aaron and Tim Burton feud subplot that goes on in my life.
Yeah, it's,
Where they just hate each other. He hates
I
Tim,
spent
and
a
Tim
whole
hates him.
semester. No, look. But we could do another. I spent a whole semester studying Tim Burton. Like we could do a whole episode on Tim Burton, easy. But if you're talking style over substance, I think he is an easy name to draw comparison with Wes Anderson. I would say, yeah, on first viewing, there is definitely the case to be made that because this is so visually striking, also so visually unique, that you can get lost in that. Second, third viewing, you'll see the layers of the film, you'll see the detail, and you'll see fundamentally the plot, right? So, yes and no. Yes and no.
So speaking of style over substance, I don't think that really applies to the Grand Budapest Hotel, but I can make an argument for it for Wes Anderson as a filmmaker. Specifically, again, I've only seen 3 of his films: Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, and The Grand Budapest Hotel. And there were some criticisms of Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I think Isle of Dogs, particularly, while the attention to detail and the animation is incredible, and therefore the style is incredible, I just do think the plot was rather weak, and I think the film overall was quite forgettable. Did either of you see it?
No, I haven't seen it.
no.
Great. All right. Well, that was easy. I remember the look and the feel of the film. I can't remember a single plot detail, and that's my argument for it being style over substance.
But then again, could you say that if another film that you saw in 2017, could you name all the films that you saw in 2017? Or could you say, well, I saw a Wes Anderson film, Isle of Dogs. I don't remember much about it, but I remember it looked amazing. Does that not have longevity to it? Because you may have seen a film in 2017 that had no substance, no style, completely off the back of your mind. You've forgotten about it now.
Yeah, but then what about to bring up Tim Burton again? What about that Dark Shadows film that he did? That's like I saw a Tim Burton film. It's Dark Shadows. Like it's obviously a Tim Burton film. It's a piece of shit, but it's a Tim Burton film.
I was going to say, if you asked me what films I saw in 2017, immediately I'd say Moonlight, Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, La La Land, Lion.
3 Billboards.
Upon watching this was my third viewing of the film, and I genuinely, moments throughout the film, it's very rare, and this is where, for me, I know that a film resonates with me the most and I enjoy the most is when you get sort of butterflies, and it feels exciting to watch. Like there are moments, there are shots, there are lines in the scripts that are just like so amazing, and I think Rafinez really brought that to life. He was, in my opinion, he was perfect, and this is where I don't believe that claim style over substance works with this film because of the amazing script writing and the amazing delivery from the characters. There is just so much to it, and the humor of it, and then the sort of dark fantasy element to it, the mystery level of it, and for me it is a fantastic film. And another element, not only the set design, which was undoubtedly fantastic, there were so many elements in the fact that everything you see on a large scale was made physically in scale. So, for example, the forest was an eighth of the scale forest, the observatory was a 12th of the scale, and the actual whole Grand Budapest Hotel was an 18th to scale. So much detail to it. And not only that, moving into the way it was shot and the way the camera worked, the framing. And I think this is where I really want to pass this on to Will here, because you know quite a lot about framing and how films are shot.
Do I?
You do.
Sure.
Yeah, you do.
All right.
Come on,
Oh.
more than both of us, that's for sure.
Go on.
Anyway, so yeah, this is where I really wanted to pass on to you, Will, about the framing and the shooting of this film. So a bit of background for the listeners and for myself and Aaron probably. So it was shot on a 35mm film using the Kodak Vision 3 200T f2.13 film stock from a single Aracam studio camera.
Oh, he did his research.
Oh yeah, baby.
C3PO, R2D2 stock, yeah.
I'm a fact checker. I'm Rain Man, baby.
Rain Man.
So during the film, you will have noticed that it was shot on 3 aspect ratios. So the first 137:1 for the scenes shot in 1932, and this is often referred to as the Academy ratio. 185:1 for modern scenes, and 240:1 ratio for the 1968 scenes. So really wanted to ask the question of, does this actually impact the audience? Is there an effect? Is this lost on the common audience who doesn't know much about shooting? Like for me, you can see that the different frames represent different time periods, but does that add to the narrative of the film?
The narrative, I'm not so sure. I'm probably not educated enough to answer that. But I do know for a fact that changing the aspect ratio can change how you think and perceive of the film. It's one of those things that is actually pretty common in films today, to change the aspect ratio. Changing the aspect ratio is something that quite a lot of filmmakers do to try and subtly shift the tone, I think. And you can convey quite a lot through the aspect ratio. The aspect ratio unlocks a whole nother realm of the frame, and the common saying, a frame is worth 1,000 words. I think that in
Nope, never heard of it.
You've never heard a picture is worth 1,000 words?
Picture paints 1,000 words.
Yeah, it's the same thing with a frame.
Picture paints 1,000
It's
words.
the same thing with a frame. A frame is a painting.
just the film version.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sentiment stands, doesn't it?
It's interesting because I don't think most of the mass audience would even notice a shift in the aspect ratio, but I think they would notice things getting tighter, getting a bit tenser, claustrophobic. But I did pick up on the aspect ratio changes, and I love them. I think that it works really well.
For sure. I agree. I think I hold my hands up, and I didn't always notice when it shifted, at least not consciously. And I've seen a lot of films and that, and I try and go through it with the mind of, I'm just watching the film to enjoy the film, because that's what the film's for, right? That's to entertain an audience. So I never try and go through it with a really acute analytical eye. And I didn't notice all of the changes. It sort of passed me by. But the notable changes for me aren't those ones. It's the more face value stuff that we were talking about previously. It does have an effect, no doubt. Maybe it's more subconscious than it is conscious. What do you think?
I think it is maybe with the mass audience. But the thing that stands out a bit more for me, and I will never shut up about this, and I think you guys know this, is that, as James said, it is shot on film instead of digital.
It makes such a difference.
Could you notice? I was gonna ask. I shoot film as a hobby. I don't really enjoy shooting digital photography just personally, in my opinion. I don't think it looks as good. But film, there's something about it. It's just magic.
No, you can definitely notice the difference.
It's the colors. It's the contrast. It's everything.
I think it's the colors, and I just don't feel. I think technically you can replicate the color digitally, but when you're watching it and when you've seen hundreds of films and been able to compare, I know we're going back to this again, but a Marvel film where it is all CGI, it's all digitally enhanced, it's just not the same as a film like this, where you've got these orange tones and the yellows and the pinks and the purples all coming in and setting the mood of each scene as well. I think there's large parts of this film which rely on the lighting and the color tone to convey emotion to the audience. So when they're in the hotel in 1932, in the beginning, it's all very bright. It's all very nice yellow sort of uplighting on them. Everything's lit well. And then as it sort of heads towards the war, some parts of the film go to black and white. It goes so desaturated that it does sort of cross over into the black and white. And then on the train, when they're stopped by the supposedly the Nazi of the film, who they're representing, the color drops again. And one thing I was reading there was the fact that the only time they used a sort of a conventional dim natural light was in the poor living quarters, so in Zero's room. And I just wonder if that was something that you noticed, whether the emotion subconsciously changes due to this lighting. You think, these bright hues, these happy tones. This is where I should be feeling happy and enjoying what's on the screen. And then when it gets dark, you know it's ominous. And even when Jeff Goldblum is being chased by Willem Dafoe in the museum, it's all very sort of dramatic lighting and half light faces, and you really sense an ominous undertones to this scene.
100%. I think that chase thing with Jeff Goldblum is a great example, because there's like shadow play going on there. It's kind of like French new wave cinema almost, like that chase. Like it's really cool. As a colorblind person, films with lots of colors are like intimidating to me. Like a Baz Luhrmann film is like a fever dream, basically. So, but the fact that yes, you absolutely notice the contrast between moods and between the periods, and it's totally dependent on color. This is coming from someone that can't process colors in the same way that you guys can. The fact that it makes a difference for me is like, obviously it speaks volumes, you know.
Yeah. And I think the most recent film I've seen that has a noticeable color change was Dark Waters with Huge Ruffalo, Mark Ruffalo.
Huge Gruffalo. I'm calling him that from now on. Huge Gruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo is Huge Gruffalo.
Fuck off.
With him, and it was almost frustrating at how grey and monotonal the color palette was. And I know it was meant to be sort of a northern state, dark and dingy. There was sort of this gross disease in the water and everything like that, and that's how they're trying to convey it. But this is another thing why I really admire this film and Anderson's work, is the fact that he can control the tone and the emotion of the film and the audience just by changing the color palette and applying it to what's actually happening on the screen.
Yeah, for sure. It's what you were just describing there is one of the reasons why I struggled so much watching Ozark and Dark, you know, the Netflix shows. They're so fucking grim. Like, they're so miserable the whole time, and they're great, but like, it feels drab. It feels like a chore watching them, which is obviously completely the point. Which is in its own right fantastic that it can elicit that reaction just based on color sets and tones. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's spot on what you were saying.
Thank you. Just looking at just looking at some of the still images for the French Dispatch, it appears that he will be doing the same there. So there are some still images of Timothy Chalamet in black and white, and then you've got photos of Tilda dressed up as an old lady again. I don't know why they keep doing that, but she does play it very well in this sort of 1920s orange hue, lots of gold, lots of red, really nice color. And then you've got another one of Bill Murray, very sort of 70s sepia tone. So he's clearly going with the same direction.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
That's proved popular, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's house style now almost, isn't it? And he is a film auteur, a good old fashioned auteur, and this is part of his oeuvre, shall we say?
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, is he doing it because it's popular, or is it popular because he's doing it?
Interesting. I can't say I've seen many films that consciously come to mind that they go across the complete spectrum of colors in such short films. Really, they're not long films. Wes Anderson films. Did any of them break 2 hours?
Wes Anderson,
can't recall.
No, but I think 2 hours is considered quite a long film. I think maybe the average is 1 hour 20 minutes.
No,
would you say?
No,
But,
no. Average
1 hour 30.
No, average is like 145, 150, surely.
I'm an idiot. I just watch short films.
No, I mean I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but because you just watch fucking anime.
Well, I was just going to say that that's not even remotely true.
I know you don't. I was scraping the barrel there for what films are really short. What films are short films? I don't even know. Anime might be fucking long. I never watch anime.
Boys, Marley's in the French Dispatch. Yeah, baby.
Who's Marley?
Lightning McQueen.
Oh, bro! Lightning's back. Is he reprising a previous role, or is he playing a new character?
Honestly, getting the character, the cast list up on IMDb, I could be looking at the Grand Budapest Hotel cast list. It is.
See, I thought you were doing that earlier because I got it up ready to go.
Well, you thought I was looking through the French Dispatch.
When you were talking about the cast, I thought you were looking at the IMDb cast for French.
Yeah, no. I was looking at the film we're talking about, the Wes Anderson.
I do
Anderson.
have a point I kind of want to make about Wes Anderson.
Go on, baby, make it hard.
Talking of his oeuvre and his authorship,
Yeah.
he is quite what? What now?
Sorry.
Oh, James started making a fappy noise, and you were saying fancy French words. Go on. Keep talking about the which is egg in French.
Speaking of Wes. Who is that? Who was that?
That's the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest thing I've ever said.
It's not even true.
I know.
It's
I
not
know,
even
and I
true.
said first. I used the word first in this conversation.
I know. I've been really trying to like learn French over the past few weeks, and you saying "oeuvre" is egg. Really, like my brain just kind of like stopped working for a second, and it was like, he's probably right.
Just put it in context. Oh yeah, Wes Anderson is a renowned film auteur, and if you look back through his egg, and there's loads of hints and codes.
It's ugh. Anyway,
Sorry, well, I think you were going to make a really good point.
in his earth. I was just going to say, on the technical side of Wes Anderson's authorship and oeuvre, he is renowned. He is. Are you done?
No, go on. Where's his eggs? Let's go.
It's his eggs. Okay,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to edit. All right. It's not even a good point I'm about to make. It's not even worth it.
It's good. It's good. I'm calm.
Wes's style is renowned for being, like I said at the beginning of the pod, very artistic, very aesthetic is literally the only word I can think of. But he uses a lot of shallow depth of field, a lot of color that pops to kind of create these really interesting to look at frames. And something you'll notice about him is he not really one for traditional composition. He likes to do a lot of simple things, but they are always very eye-catching and eye-popping. I'm so out of synonyms today. It's been a long day for me.
Yeah. We film this after we go to work at our big, strong adult jobs where we have to use our big, strong adult brains all day. So make sure you drink all your calcium, kids. Otherwise, your brains won't go big and strong, and you won't get a job being a big film person like Will. Yeah, Will, how'd you get a job in film?
Drink your oat milk, eat your broccolis, and of course, have your eggs.
Milk. Eggs, milk, and brock. So that's it. If you want to work,
Yeah.
listen up, kids. If you want to work in the film industry, take it from our own Will, who works in the film industry. I'll have you know. Will, how did you get there? Your success story.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut.
No, because you have to say eggs, milk, and broccoli.
Eggs, milk, and broccoli.
Yeah, eggs, milk, and broccoli.
We're moving on to the next section now, and it's probably the most. I know we've been working our big adult brains all day, and we need to release some vibes. You know, just get it out there, get your feelings
I don't think we need to release anything else. This doesn't need to be released for a fact.
Nice. Yeah. Well, this section is Shag, Marry, Kill.
Oh,
Okay.
So I'm going to go with M. Gustav, played by Ralph Fiennes, Dimitri, played by Adrian Big Body, and Jopling, played by William F. Defoe.
what?
If his middle name is F, I'm going to be freaking shocketh.
William Frederick Defoe is his name.
That's my middle name. My name's William Frederick.
Oh no.
Is it Frederick?
No, it's James. Shit name.
That's your name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So Willem Dafoe. Who else was it?
Shag, Marry, Kill, M. Gustav, played by Ray Fiennes, Dimitri, played by Adrian Brody, or Jopling, played by Willem Dafoe.
Are we basing it off of purely looks?
No.
No, that's not how Shag, Marry, Kill works. But I'm happy to jump straight in and say that I would immediately kill Big Body.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the film.
He's just not that interesting.
Yeah, he kind of sucks.
And in real life as well.
I know. I love Adrian Brody, man. The pianist.
I would shag Willem Dafoe. I feel like he would do a really good hate fuck.
Oh, you can't say that.
And then naturally, I would marry Mr. Finesse himself. He's a hard worker. He's got a nice little mustache. He looks great in a bow tie.
Yeah.
And I love a man in uniform.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably echo that. I would marry Rafe Fiennes. I'm too young for him, so while I like his sensibilities, I wouldn't have to make love to him, only to consummate it on a official level. However, he likes to fuck old women. I am a young man.
Does. And do you know why this is ironic? The first wife that he had an affair with. He had an affair with a lady that was 16 years his senior.
Yeah.
In real life?
IRL. Yeah, baby.
Oh, IRL. I thought you were talking about bloody.
Oh, yeah, no. In real life, yeah. His first marriage ended in 97.
Oh, Rafe, an adulterer. That doesn't sit right with me.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah, I know. His second marriage, which ended in 2006, was also rumored that he cheated with a Romanian pop singer, but it is yet to be confirmed.
Rafe.
See, this is
Rafe.
He's a busybody, that guy.
Also in Red Dragon, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rafe, an adulterer.
an adulterer.
Well, he was Voldemort.
Yeah.
You're not meant to say his name.
Well, where is he? What's he going to come get me? If you say Voldemort's name 3 times in the mirror, he'll come and Horcrux you. Maybe.
Wait, does that count in a webcam? Shall we test it?
Do it.
Voldemort.
Will, what's that behind you? It's not got a nose.
This is the last time I have to say. Avada Kedavra!
Oh, no. Don't say that. Don't. I can't believe you said that one. Shit.
The A word?
Yeah, man. Can't say that.
Yeah, beep that out.
Unforgivable. I'll bleep that out. The AK word.
Yeah, so I think I'd go along the same route. I'd definitely marry M. Gustav just because of the inheritance of him.
Ah, yeah, I didn't even think about the stonks. Yeah, good
Man
point.
is stacked with Wonga from Boy Holding an Apple. I would probably avoid Defoe. He is scary, and I think he would hurt me.
Some people like that.
Well, it's PT. Yeah, so and then that would leave Dimitri Adrian Brody to
Pick up the pieces.
have an intimate relationship with. Yeah, you know, just the way when he saw Saoirse Ronan with the painting, the way he followed her and sort of glided up the stairs, it was majestic. I think, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
you'd get it.
Yeah, you probably would, actually. Even outside of this talk. Adrian Brody, would you get? Yeah.
He's never really done it for me.
Yeah, you could get it. No, not in The Pianist when he's all skinny, though.
Big nose.
Oh, Will? So what?
So in the scene, the Zero manages to break Harvey Keitel and Ralph Fiennes out of prison. So when Harvey Keitel and Ralph Fiennes escape from Checkpoint 19, obviously they are met by Zero as a young character. That shot of Harvey Keitel slapping Revelori took 43 times, and every time there was a connection. And do you know who wasn't happy? Bill Murray. He wasn't even in the scene.
Well, get your nose out of it, first of all, Bill. This ain't your fight. Harvey Keitel, a child beater? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it's all in the name of art, though.
Yeah, exactly. So I mentioned near the beginning of the podcast that the budget for the film was $25 million. In total, it made just shy of $173 million, which was actually the 144th highest grossing film of 2014, which I think is fairly staggering. I'm trying to think of what films came out there and what money was made. Obviously, you look at the Academy Awards, but this was Wes Anderson's, at the time, highest grossing film. Do you think, with the hype surrounding The French Dispatch and the similarities between casting and potential aesthetic of The French Dispatch, do you think it will overtake the Grand Budapest Hotel in box office?
Well, you got to look at the state of cinema at the moment with the coronavirus. I don't think anything's overtaking anything at any time soon, to be honest with you. I don't know when it's going to come out, but there's no way to predict what the the landscape of the cinema industry is going to look like. There's certain, globally, it's not in a good way at this point. So I'd hedge my bets and say no, not even close.
Do you know what the highest grossing film of this year is at time of recording?
Would it be a Netflix film? Do they do that?
It wouldn't. They don't count.
No.
They can only count if they're released in theaters.
So it would have been Summit before.
The Gentleman?
It would have been Summit before the Pandy.
Not The Gentleman, that was last year.
Was it?
Definitely wasn't Tenet, was it? Was it Cats? Is it going to be Cats?
No, Cats came out last year as well.
Cats was last year as well.
Highest grossing film of this year to date, Bad Boys 3.
Oh, nice. I wouldn't have got that. But that makes sense, I suppose. It's crazy when you consider what was going to be coming out. Bond, Tenet would have made a hell of a lot more money than it did.
I don't know about that.
Tenet would have made more money than it did. 100%. I mean, the film sucked, but...
Yeah, I think Aaron's got a good point. You can't tell what the cinema landscape's going to look like, and especially as... Is it Warner Brothers who are putting all of their films onto streaming services straight away now? So everything that comes out in 2021, they're going to put on a streaming service and cinemas at the same day?
Yeah, I think that was Warner Brothers. Yeah.
So who's doing the French Dispatch?
Me. I'm releasing it.
Oh, cool, bro. Nice to meet you.
Just Googled it, and it is Searchlight Pictures, who are owned by...
It's Fox.
Fox, who are owned
Fox,
by...
so Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be on Disney Plus.
So Disney Plus, would it? No, because they don't put any Fox crap on Disney Plus.
Yet. That might be due to contractual obligations with other streaming sites.
Well, I hope they do soon, because it means we get Family Guy.
So I think that comes to the end of our discussion on the Grand Budapest Hotel. So the all-important moment, what do you rate this film?
I love this film. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's a beautiful film visually. I think the plot, while good, isn't anything like extraordinary. I think the film really shines in its detail, in its writing. I think there's definitely some gravity to the style over substance argument for me, but still an outstanding film, one that I would never hesitate to stick on. I love it. 4 out of 5.
Previously, as I said, I've seen this once before. I rated it 3.5 out of 5. This time, I bumped it up to a 4 as well.
So did I did 3.5 my first viewing as well. Sorry, that's really interesting. My first time round, I did 3.5 and bumped it up to a 4 this time. Interesting.
I'm not sure if it's because my palate has become more refined, or if I was just in the mood for something a bit more artsy-fartsy this time around, but it just hit home with me a bit more.
That's interesting. The original, I think the first 2 times I watched were 4 out of 5, and watching it last night prior to recording this podcast, it has gone up to 4.5 out of 5 for me. And I think I touched upon it earlier, and a real indicator for me when rating a film is how it makes me feel during, sort of after, and then discussing it with you guys. And that's what bumped up for me, that feeling of joy watching and listening to the script and everything that went to it, and the depth and detail of every single scene, the meticulous detail from Wes Anderson, and the fantastic acting from the pretty stacked cast. And so yeah, that's why I rated it 4.5. Yeah, thanks guys, great chat.
Lovely job.
Just want to close off on, what have we been watching, what have we planned to watch? I'll kick things off because I've been quite in the film mood recently. Can't say they've been the highest rated film. Only one of the 5 that I've watched in the past week, well actually 2 including the Grand Budapest Hotel, have surpassed 3 stars. So started with John English Strikes Again. I hadn't seen the new film. It was on Netflix. Gave it a go. Good crack. What do you expect from Johnny English? Moved on to Holiday, film from 2020. Trash. 2 stars. Moved on to Deck the Halls. 2.5 stars. Got a half star because it had Danny DeVito in.
Yeah.
Chalet Girl.
No.
2 stars. It had a storyline. Had a few yucks, but it had Bill Bailey in. That's probably where the 2 stars went.
Cool, yeah.
And then on 2 nights ago, I watched the film adaptation of Stephen King's novel Misery, which I rated 3.5.
Oh, I love that film, man.
Maybe deserves a little bit higher in my opinion.
I think it deserves a little bit more than a 3.5, mate.
Well, I saw your rating, Aaron. I saw you rated 4. So you would rate this the same as Wes Anderson's Grand Grand Budapest.
Grand Budapest.
Very different films. I prefer Misery, but I prefer Misery, but I am a huge Stephen King stan, and when you said what have you been watching, the truth is I haven't been watching anything. I'm reading The Stand at the moment, Stephen King's The Stand, because the new series actually starts tonight. But it's a book of his that I've never read, and it's an absolute beast. So I'm trying to get through it as quick as I can, so that I can jump on the new series. So yes, that actually tied in quite nicely to what I've been watching, which is nothing because I've been reading. But yeah, I love Stephen King, and so Misery for me is love it, amazing.
Will, what have you been watching, and what will you be watching and requesting us to watch for next episode of There's a Snake in My Pod?
So I've started reading a book called Steal This Book by Abby Hoffman, who was one of the leader of the yuppie movements back in the 70s. He's quite famous for being in the Chicago 7. I won't lie, I picked up this book because I watched the trial of Chicago 7 a few weeks ago and thought it was very good.
Yeah.
I've also recently watched a film called Saint Maud. That was the first film I watched in the cinema.
It's a good film.
And I think the only film I watched in the cinema this year. Oh, except from Tenet.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw Saint Maud and Tenet. Tenet wasn't great. Saint Maud I really enjoyed.
And I've been watching The Mandalorian as well. Season 2 is just about to wrap up tomorrow. It's the final episode of season 2, so I'm quite excited to see how that ends. I have a very mixed relationship with that show. It's kind of love-hate sometimes. It's got a tone problem, in my opinion. I feel for the first few episodes of Pod, we've been watching, obviously, some of our favorite films, which is the whole point of the podcast. But really, in my opinion, they're quite lighthearted to a degree. I mean, In Bruges is funny. This film was very pretty. The film I want to recommend and request that we watch is on a little bit of a downer side. I think it's a drama film. It's got a lot of sad moments, but it's got a lot of happy moments as well. And it was one of my favorite films of last year. And I just thought, what's a better way of saying goodbye to a disgusting year like 2020 than to watch The Farewell by Lulu Wang? Have either of you two even heard of it?
No, I've heard of it for sure. I remember all the hype around it and just never got around to watching it. So yeah, no, really excited. It's going to be the first time that we're doing one that I haven't seen. So
Yes.
yeah,
And that was the other thing I knew I wanted to watch a film that you two hadn't seen yet.
Yeah.
James, have you heard of The Farewell?
Yeah, no, I've not actually heard of it.
Okay, interesting.
Is it in English?
Well,
it's not.
It's in mostly American. It's in mostly English. What the fuck's American? All right, James, see us out.
Thank you very much for listening to another episode of There's a Snake in Our Pod, or There's a Pod in Our Snake. Who knows? I don't know. Someone said about making it plural the other day. Fuck off.
I thought you were a brand manager. Oh,
Huh?
hang on. No, we need to do this now.
Oh no, I'm not doing this now.
We need to
I'm
do
not
it
doing
now.
this now.
No, we're doing
I'm
it now.
seeing you on Sunday. We'll do it then. We're
We're doing it now. Listen to this. Tell me there's not an S at the end of boot. Boots.
Yeah.
Boots.
I hear that at the end. I hear it. I know. I hear it, but it doesn't make sense.
Shout out to Josh for pointing that out for me, because that's
Oh.
ruined everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And he knows it. That's the thing.
Josh, you have ruined our podcast.
He's really happy about the fact that that's
Okay.
ruined it. Anyway.
Yeah, of course he is, because that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah, fuck you, Josh.
I love Josh, but he loves to stir the pot. So, Josh, you want to come on here, but you got to lick my fucker.
That's not saying it.
Good.
Perfect. So that brings us to the end of this episode of There Is a Snake in My Pod. We have been discussing the Grand Budapest Hotel.
That's not what it's called.
It's not the name of the podcast.
What's it called?
There's a pod in my boot.
Thank you very much for listening to another episode of There's a Pod in My Boot. We've been discussing the Wes Anderson fantastic film, The Grand Budapest Hotel. And next episode, we will be watching and discussing Farewell by Lucy Wang.
No.
Was that a bit?
That's the ending. I don't care if that's a bit or not. That's staying
Oh, thank
in.
God. Yeah, that has to be the end. That has to be the end. That's so funny. You just have to end it on me saying. You have to end it after I said, "Was that a bit?"
Yeah,
you
no,
have
I
to
will.
end it there. That's it.
James,
That's so.
was
funny.
that a bit, or did you do that on purpose?
No, it's
He's googling it.
We're gonna be watching The Farewell by Lucy Wong. You can't do that. You can't do that.
okay, wait. Can I say it properly, and then you can decide whether what
We're going to be watching Farewell by Lucy Wang. It's The Farewell by Lulu Huang.
Wong?
Oh my God, that was perfect.
Is it Wong or Wang?
It's Lulu Wang.
Oh, it's Wang.
Yeah, that's the best ending.
So on the next edition of
No.
Yeah.
No.
That
That's it.
outro is
You've
done.
done it. You've
on the
done
next
it.
edition, please.
That outro is done.